So I had recently bought a Nemsys Entry controller made by Konami for Voltex, and when asking others about the controller online, most people didn't really have much of a positive opinion on it. So I wanted to make this review just to give you guys my thoughts on what I think is good and bad about the controller. Keep in mind, I am not a professional reviewer or anything, but I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts. So real quickly, I just wanted to go through everything that comes with the controller in the box. So it comes with a manual, which is really only useful for setting up the Bluetooth on the device since the controller was made for Voltex 3 as well as Voltex Ultimate Mobile. What also comes with a manual is a bunch of cardboard cutouts that you can use to create a mini version of the Voltex Vivid Wave cabinet, which I thought was actually a pretty nice addition. After 20 minutes of me, or mainly my sister, putting it together since I'm not good at these things, this is what it looks like, which is pretty cool. And finally, under all of that is the controller itself, which comes with one USB cable to attach the controller to into your PC. If you're somebody who plans on buying this controller in the future, or you have bought the controller, if you do want to access the Bluetooth features, you are going to need 3 AA batteries for it in order to work. The other controller that I have at the moment is the SDVX EAC designed by Gammo. And when comparing it to the Nemsys Entry designed by Konami, it's actually a little bit shorter. Aside from that, length and width is basically the same thing, and the button spacing is identical to the one on the SDVX EAC. So I've actually been using this controller for about 2 days so far, and there's actually a lot that I have to say about this controller, both good and bad. So for now, I'm going to be showing you guys a video of how the controller sounds during playthrough, and then I'm going to give you guys all my thoughts. I'll also have timestamps available in the description, or you can click somewhere on the bottom of the video. Now before we get into all the cons, I just wanted to quickly go through all of the pros, and just keep in mind that this is all in my opinion. Now unfortunately there isn't too many pros that I have to say about this controller. I will say that I do love how quiet the buttons are, which actually has nothing to do with the performance. The buttons are actually soft, which may be a good thing or a bad thing to some of you guys. For some people this can come off as it feeling like a toy, but for me, I don't really mind it at all, especially when it comes to hard impact. It actually feels a lot better for me. Now onto the cons, and I think the biggest con about this controller are the knobs themselves. The knobs feel cheap and not well made. Unfortunately, Konami does not provide the specs for this controller, so I actually have no idea what material they use or what kind of encoder they use for the controller. However, the biggest issue here is that the game sometimes has trouble picking up the knob inputs. It feels like you have to turn the knobs on the exact same frame that the lasers come towards the bottom of the screen, and not like a few frames ahead. Now this could possibly sound like something that's just user error, however I personally haven't had this problem with the SDVX EAC on Sound Voltex 3, a named Sound Voltex clone, nor the Vivid Wave cabinet with the Vivid Wave software and the Exceed Gear software. However, when I turn the knobs, whether if it's super slow, super fast, or at my normal speed, sometimes the knobs just don't pick up. Oh, and also the knobs just feel weird in general to turn. Another thing is that there's pads underneath the controller, so the controller may have a chance of sliding left and right while playing. And I don't know if this is a defect on my controller personally, but my controller loves to keep connecting to Bluetooth, which disconnects it from being connected to the computer. For some reason, every time the Bluetooth switch is off, it still connects to Bluetooth, even with batteries in or not. So if you ever plan on using this controller in the future, keep in mind that when you plug it in, the blue light on the side is going to turn on and off. However, it needs to stay off and not turn back on. If it turns back on, then it's on Bluetooth mode. So do I recommend this controller to anyone? It's alright, at most, really. I recommend just getting a Gamma 2 controller or a Unicon. I personally haven't used a Unicon at the time of this recording, but I've heard only good things about them. I've actually been told multiple times that most people buy the controller simply just as a collector's item and not because the controller is good itself, especially since this is a limited time product and there's only a few left going around, new or used. So I rate this controller a pancake out of waffle.